Good morning students and welcome to this online chemistry class. So in the previous video we already seen how electrolysis takes place, and here now I am going to discuss that what are the applications of electrolysis. So let's see how will we use that electrolysis for different purposes. So electrolysis has several technical and commercial applications. They are electroplating with metals, electro-refining of metals, and extraction of metals. And this extraction of metals is also known as electrometallurgy. That means, so first we discuss that what is electroplating. Electroplating is a process in which a thin film of metal like gold, silver, nickel, chromium, that means the superior metals, get deposited on another metallic article with the help of electricity. That means that coating of a superior metal over an inferior metal by using electricity is known as electroplating. So here question is found that what is the reason for electroplatings? There are two reasons for electroplating. The first one is for the decoration purposes and the second one to protect from rusting and corrosion. So these are the two reasons for electroplating. Now we have moved to our next topic, that is what are the conditions of electroplating. So for electroplating, the first condition that article to be electroplated is always placed at the cathode. Why? Because during that electrolysis, the metal is always deposited at the cathode by gain of electrons. Remember that. That means the metal is always deposited at the cathode by gain of electrons. So for this reason, the article to be electroplated is always placed at the cathode. And the second condition, that means the metal to be placed on that article is always made the anode. Why? Here also question, because here what happened? This metal act like as an active electrode, okay, which will continuously dissolve into the solution and discharge at the cathode. And the third condition is the electrolyte must contain ions of the metal which is to be plated on that article. This is because that the electrolyte dissociates into ions and enter into that solution, okay, and that enter into the solution and migrate towards that cathode, and they are deposited as a neutral metal, okay, neutral metallic atom. So for that reason what happened, the electrolyte must be contain ions of the metal which is to be plated on that article. And the next condition is during electroplating we always use that direct current, okay, because if you are using that alternative current causes that discharge and that ionization to that alternate of that cathodes. So for that what happened, there will be we did not get that a smooth and uniform electroplating. So we always use that or direct current. So these are the conditions for electroplatings. So now we have discussed that an example, that electroplating an article with silver. That means for decoration purposes or to look a good appearance, we have to coated a brass spoon with silver. So let's see. Here you can find out that brass spoon which is act like as a cathode, which are going to be electroplated, and that anode act like as a silver, okay, that means it act like as a anode. That means the metal which are to be electroplated, okay. So here that means what, here you taken that electrolyte. What are the electrolyte you are taken? That is sodium argentocyanide, okay. So because you are going to electroplate with silver, you are taking that electrolyte is what? Silver argentocyanide. So when dissociates, okay, when electricity passes there, the electrolyte dissociate into what? See here, that is sodium argentocyanide. It dissociate into Na plus Ag plus and plus 2Cn minus. And also it's aqueous solution. So water is also dissociate and form 2H plus plus OH minus. So now what happened? That cathode means what? The brass spoon which are going to be electroplated, and anode, that is the pure that block of silver metal. Okay, so here what happened when electricity is passed in the solution, what happened in the electrolytic solution, that reaction will be take place. So here you will find out the three cations. What are the three cations? That is Na plus, okay, Na plus, Ag plus and H plus. So as we know that at cathode only one cation will be discharged. As in that electrochemical series, what happens? Silver is below in that electrochemical series. So it will be go towards the cathode and they took an electron and become neutral silver metals. That means silver ion will be discharged at the cathode and form and gain one electron. That is when Ag at cathode, what is the reaction? Ag plus gain one electron and form that silver metals. Like this also here what happened at anode, the reaction will be take place. So here also two anions are there. One is Cn minus and other one is OH minus. That both the anions are migrate to the anode, but none of them are discharged. Okay, because here that what electrolytic solution is a silver argentocyanide and that electrode at anode is a silver pure metal and it act like as a active electrode and it will be take part in that chemical reaction. So what happened? That silver ions are lose that electrons and pass into the solution as that silver ions. Because what? That anode, its nature is what? It is an active electrode. So it lose the electron and pass into the solution as that silver ions. So these silver ions are attracted to the brass spoon, okay, which act like as a cathode, and they what? Gain that electron and become that atom of silver. So in this way what happened? The spoon will be becoming electroplated with silver. So in this way the brass spoon will be electroplated with silver. So next we see that that electroplating an article with nickel. Okay, so let's see another example, that electroplating with nickels. So here you can find out that as we know that to prevent from rusting and corrosion, we have to electroplate with nickels. As the iron are that the metals which are easily rusted when it will contact with that moisture and air. So let's see that electroplating of article with nickel. Here you are taken that what you are going to be electroplated with nickel. So the electrolytic, that is the aqueous solution of nickel sulfate. Here you are taken that electrolyte is aqueous solution of nickel sulfate, and that electrode, okay, that means that cathode. Cathode is, that means what? The article which are going to be electroplated. That means that iron plate would act like as a cathode, and that anode will be that is nickel, okay, that pure nickel would act like as a nickel. So when electricity is passed through, what happens? The electrolyte dissociates, okay, that is nickel sulfate, that electrolyte dissociate into Ni2 plus SO4 2 minus, and that its aqueous solution. So water also dissociate and it form that H plus OH minus. So what is the reaction at cathode? At cathode what happened? That article to be electroplated, okay, that means and the anode means that is the block of pure nickel metals. So at reaction at cathode what you find? That is nickel, it will be gain that electrons and form that what? Nickel metal. That means nickel ions are discharged at the cathode and as a neutral nickel atoms by gain of electrons. Okay, and here you can find out that what is the reaction at anode. Here also what? Two anions are there, that is SO4 2 minus and OH minus, and both are migrate to the anode, but neither will be discharged at the anode due to the nature of electrode, okay, because you know that that anode is a pure block of nickel. So his nature is an act like as an active electrode, so nickel will be discharge there, okay, it will migrate towards anode and discharge there. As we taken that what? Nickel sulfate solution, because your H plus will be that is below from that nickel, but what happened? You are taken that electrolytic solution, so the nickel will be more concentrate irrespective to that H plus. So here nickel will be discharged and gain that electrons and form that what? Nickel 2 plus ions. So in this way what happens? That nickel anode loses that electrons and to give that Ni2 plus ions in the solutions. So like this that iron will be electroplated with nickel. And next we have to move that the next application, that is electro refining of metals. So what is electro refining of metals? That means it is a process by which metals containing impurities are purified electrically to give a pure metal. That means to obtain a pure metal from its impure compound by using electricity is known as electrolytic refining of metals. So let's see an example, that is refining of copper. Here you will see that here we have to obtain that what? Pure copper metal. So here that electrolytic solution is that copper sulfate solution, and that cathode means that thin strip of pure copper, and that anode it act like as a that impure copper metal. Okay, that impure. That means when electricity is passed through, that means when current is passed through the electrolyte, the copper ions of the copper sulfate solution are attracted to the cathode, where they gain the electrons and get deposited on that pure copper. Clear? That means when electricity is passed through there, when current is passed through there, the copper ions of the copper sulfate solution from that electrolytic solution that are attracted to the cathode, and where they will be gain that electrons and get deposited on the pure copper. That means the thin strips they will be deposited on that pure copper will be deposited on that thin strips, and the impure copper will be lose the electrons and passes into the solution of soluble copper ions. Clear? That means that impure copper it will be passes into the solution and where it will be deposited. So what is the reaction at cathode? Cathode means what? It will be gain that electrons and form that is Cu2 plus. Okay, gain the electrons and form that copper metal. And at anode what happen? Here that is lose that electrons and form that copper 2 plus ions. So as a result what happen? That gradually that impure slabs of copper get finished. Okay, that means it will slowly it will be finished, and the thin strips of pure copper become thicker and thicker. Then we have to get that pure copper metal from that impure compound. Okay, so this is known as what? Electro refining of copper. Next we move to that our next application, that is electrometallurgy. Electrometallurgy means it is a process that extraction of metal by electrolysis. Okay, that means you have to obtain metals from its ore. So by giving electricity, we have to obtain metal from its ore is known as electrometallurgy. That means from the electrochemical series, as we know that the metals which are tough in that electrochemical series, they are highly reactive. Okay, and they do not easily extracted from its ore. So we are using electricity to obtain pure metals. That is known as what? Electrometallurgy. So let's see an example. For example, you have to find out that potassium from its ore, that is potassium bromide. Okay, here what happen? When electricity is passed through them, at cathode what happen? The potassium bromide will be dissociates. It form K plus plus Br minus. That way it will the potassium ion will be gain one electron and form that potassium atom, potassium metal, and at anode that bromine it will be lose the electron and form that bromine molecule. Like this we have to find sodium and chlorine. Okay, the sodium metal from its or that sodium chloride. So at cathode what happen? The sodium will be gain that electron and form that sodium metal. Okay, so these are the applications of electrolysis. These are the three main applications of electrolysis, that is that electroplating with metals, electro refining of metals, and the extraction of metals. Thank you.